Welcome back to the channel, everybody. I am the stepson of Krypton,
And I am Mantis.
and today we going back to the DC universe for Superman and Lois, season 1, episode 1, starting out on the CW. Now, I got to say this, or I didn't have to say this last time on Rings of Power, but this time I got to disclose again that I have seen this show. Not actually the third season of it yet, but I have seen the first 2 seasons. But Mantis, I believe this is going to be a first-time reaction for you.
Yeah, I've not seen this show. I have seen the crossover episode of the Arrowverse that included both of the actors um, from this show, but I have not seen this show.
Okay. So, and the good thing with this show, part of what we kind of touched on when we did the Arrow review was about how the woke culture and everything got injected into the CW shows and the Arrowverse real heavily. Supergirl has it super heavy, and it's why, or at least in my opinion, from what I've read, that's why a lot of people kind of started tuning out of it, just because it got a little too heavy into it. Whereas Superman and Lois, I won't give anything away, but it breaks away from the Arrowverse. Like those actors who actually play Clark Kent or Superman and Lois are the same ones, but that's it. There's no mention of the Arrowverse throughout this series. Like they're not going back and talking about things that have previously happened and all of that. They try to keep it separate. So I think it should be good for you. It should be a good watch for you.
Yeah. It's unfortunate that since Smallville, we haven't really had a good Superman show, and even Supergirl. Well, I did see the first season of Supergirl, and it wasn't terrible. But as we know, who had that? Was that Sci-Fi that had it, or
I
some?
think it was ABC. Correct me if I'm wrong, anybody in the comments, but I'm 90% certain it was either ABC or CBS, but for some reason I'm leaning towards ABC had the first season.
Had it? Yeah, I had the first season because it just fell off a cliff after that. So, um, yeah, again, if this is supposed to be kind of the updated version of Superman and kind of steers away from kind of the trope storylines that CW have used and seemingly Hollywood has used up to this point. I'll be excited to see how good that comes across. Kind of a newsworthy thing as well. I think it was earlier this week. The Writers Guild in Hollywood went on strike. So hopefully, all of those people, and I use that term loosely because they are the scum of the earth, don't get jobs and all of them get taken over by AI. So we don't have to deal with this crap. Yeah, this one's not done that way. And like you said, well, you may not have mentioned it in this video, but I know you've told me before that this has the full backing of HBO as far as financially. So it'll be another interesting to see how the production value changes from this, as compared to other TV shows, superhero TV shows. So
Yeah, I'm really curious to see. Sorry, I kind of like mind wandered there for a second. Really kind of curious to see what your thought is on it, because there's a couple of really good Easter eggs that again don't have anything to do with the Arrowverse, but they do have to do with Superman, as well as just the way it's shot. Being as big a fan as I am of Smallville, and I know as you were, it'll be interesting to see what your thoughts are on this and kind of some of your reactions to it. So I'm actually really excited to see that. So unless you have anything else, Mantis, if you're good, I'm good. We're ready to go ahead and get this started.
Yeah, let's go.
All right, then. Superman and Lois, season 1, episode 1. Let's go.
sun on my face for the first time.
He's just like in that water.
Hearing the voices of
hell?
my
I think it
parents.
was like a suspension gel that kept him preserved.
Oh, okay.
It's like the Matrix.
Ah.
My mother called me their greatest surprise.
Oh.
And boy, there sure were lots of them. And I thought I'd live there forever.
They got rid of Jonathan pretty quick in this series.
Pretty fucking fast, yeah.
Eventually, I moved to Metropolis to become who I was meant to be.
Action Comics #1 right there. Actually, it was a green card, too.
Cool costume.
Thanks. My mom made it for me.
The old classic suit.
This went so fast through like the origin story type thing, and I'm okay with it, quite honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, how many times
guess,
have we
one
seen
word?
the Superman origin shit, and it's just like, I already know what happens. A good 30 seconds, and we're good.
Yeah, just like what they did here.
It's Lois.
Yes.
What'd you say your
Yeah.
name was again?
Kent. Clark. Kent.
Told
So he
Lois
kind of
who I
plays
really
the nerdy
was,
Clark pretty good, too.
where I came from.
Okay, so we're skipping past a bunch of shit.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Again, we waited 10 years to see him in this damn suit in Smallville, alright? We deserve a little fast forward.
The twins came. Jonathan was easy. Things with Jordan were more challenging.
Huh.
Come on, Superman.
The heat exchanger's offline.
He bulked up a little bit. Like that he's got the red vision back. And revives right there. See, for me, that just looks better than what you see on a normal CW show.
Yeah. I'd agree with that. I don't know if that's how that works, but
I feel like you couldn't just dump a big ice cube in there, like. But what do I know about nuclear reactors?
you know, it's the cooling rods, right? Like that's how they keep it from melting down, I think.
Yeah, and she said that we got to get water back into that system. So, I don't know if all that ice melted, put water in there.
Talk to Lois about some dates. Night, General.
So he knows who he is.
Yeah, which is different. They've never normally done where General Lane knows. He always kind of doesn't like Superman. So.
Right.
Okay.
Your plate's in the fridge. Jonathan's got some news and apologized to Jordan. You missed therapy today.
Sorry, I was preventing a nuclear meltdown.
You used that excuse 3 times.
Hey,
What's up? Mom said you had news?
Elijah, 1 second. Yeah, I'm actually starting QB.
Trying to get laid here, Dad.
Right. Mortal Kombat 11.
Make a pretty good Superman.
Superman's boring.
I'm sorry, I missed our therapy today. I was in Wichita for a
You
story.
couldn't catch a flight back, Mom said.
What?
So,
He knows he's Superman, right?
if you need
Are you
anything,
actually asking?
We want to talk.
Yeah.
No, they don't know. Kids don't know.
Okay. It's just the way he said that. Like, I have to catch a flight back. He's like,
Gotta wonder if he'd been a little more understanding about missing therapy. I was stopping the nuclear reactor from killing us all.
That's what I'm saying. Like, just tell him the truth.
See that in the background?
Looks like what your
Dr.
father
Donner?
was.
Richard Donner.
Interesting.
A lot longer before they go off into the world.
Yeah, throw a little creator in there. All right. So I will say, this is almost shot like a movie. Like, the way the cinematography is done, as well as the quality of the film, looks like it's almost. I mean, it looks like a movie. I will say that. Aside for some weird things when he was carrying the ice cube thing, it looks pretty good.
See, call Siegel, Joel Siegel. I was wondering if you would question when he was carrying the iceberg. I still thought it looked good.
Lois is a babe.
Mom.
Yeah.
That-
Why is that
Don't.
always
Lois, they
everybody's
slip up
first
once.
reaction? Just
Say
lie
the
to
wrong thing to
them.
one person. The whole world knows who I am.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think if my dad told me he was a superhero, I would feel alienated, quite honestly. But then again, I mean, this Jordan, his other kid, seems like he definitely has some mental issues going on. So,
Yeah, but could those have been caused by the fact that he does feel like an outsider because he is?
Boswell fired you?
Could he have been able to
Me and
correct him by
somebody else.
knowing?
I don't know. I mean, maybe.
Hey, Mom, sorry. This morning's just been.
That was a pretty good shot.
Yeah.
The stroke. It.
Show doesn't fuck around.
No, it didn't. All in the first episode. Pretty.
That's what it said when you say it kind of gives it a movie-like vibe.
Yeah.
Hard to believe you want this to go on for multiple seasons. You just throwing all this at everybody like in the first 20 minutes.
Well, yeah. But that was kind of based on my expectations. This was going to be the quote unquote, cookie cutter Superman movie or show, right? Like, well, we've got to tell the story of Jonathan and we got to tell the story. This, they're just like, nah, we're going to kind of do what we want and we'll just kill people if we want and we'll get
Game of Thrones
twins.
and Superman.
Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I mean, you don't need it in there, right? For what the direction they're going with the show.
I mean, maybe. I don't really know what direction, but
Well, I meant just like obviously they're doing more of the adult, like they have teenage twin sons, right? So you don't necessarily need the mom. If anything, you would use her lessons as a flashback, right? Like he has flashbacks to when something happened, and that'll suffice.
I mean, is this geared towards an older audience? Because it kind of feels that way.
I think it's geared more, and as you get further on into the series, you realize it's geared more towards, I would say, the older Superman fan, who's already seen the Smallville stuff, because you've seen him be a kid and grow up with his powers. Now you want to see him be actually Superman and having kids and dealing with that kind of stuff that you've never really seen Superman.
That's what I mean. Like it's almost geared towards adults that have kids or children that can kind of relate to what's going on.
But also
here.
grew up with Superman, so this is kind of the next step in the progression. See Superman and how he deals with kids, because you've never seen that on movies or TV.
Right. That's just what it feels like to me.
No, you're right. It definitely gives off that vibe.
I would say I'd put away those fucking pills.
I'm so sorry.
Unless they're going to rip a couple lines of Adderall or something.
I mean,
It's great to see.
is that Lana?
That's Lana. She's still hot.
And the one with the
Is that Jason?
gal over there, that's Sarah.
No.
Or is that Whitney?
No. It's no.
House full of girls. Someone's always pissed at you.
You poor bastard.
Your daddy and I went to high school with Mr. Kent.
I'm sorry. If I had a house full of girls, I don't know. I don't know if I could do it. I mean, it would definitely be difficult.
You would need your weekly time at the bar.
How are you holding up?
Fuck yeah, I
I could
would.
really use a drink, actually.
Now you're talking.
See?
He- Get up in it, Jonathan.
Router. Probably needs to be reset.
Oh, sorry, not Jonathan. What's the other kid's name?
Jordan.
Jordan.
The same as you did in high school. He doesn't.
Well, now, they're from Metropolis, right? So
I mean, I get that, but
I don't know if they're playing it like Smallville, where Metropolis was like literally 2.5 hours, 3 hours out in the background. You could see it, the skyline.
right. It's like I think I could drive across Kansas in like an hour and a half. So
Morgan Edge ruins everything he touches.
What's he ruined?
He is single-handedly destroying the Daily Planet.
People quit reading that paper because your reporters can't keep your politics to yourselves.
Bingo.
Yep.
See, people like you look at Smallville and you think of the past and you feel a little bad for us, right? People like Morgan Edge, though. Now, see, he looks at Smallville and he sees the future.
What does that mean?
Kyle, go get the girls.
No, you can't just say that and then fucking
Right.
go get the girls.
But you see what I mean? It has a bit of a different tone than the other CW shows.
Yeah. I mean, that guy's totally dick.
Not really, though. He's just sticking up. He's a small town guy sticking up for his town, right?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying you shouldn't do that. I'm saying you shouldn't do it at a fucking funeral wake.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. That
Maybe wait till they, at least tamp down the grave before you go on.
okay. Yes, I will give you that.
You.
Drop your digits, girl.
There's a bonfire tomorrow at the old Schuster mine. Hit me up if you want to go, but I can't guarantee I won't get you into a little bit of trouble.
Maybe you shouldn't stand underneath those pipes.
Right. That'll be $5,000.
Thanks.
Hey, was that a... Fuck, I can't remember his name now. Fuck, why can I not think of his name? From Smallville.
Pete?
Yeah, Pete.
Rick,
I
you
don't
just
think
said
it was
that
Pete.
I might not be starting.
Might have been.
No, not the actor. He
Just
called him
in
Benny.
general.
I'm just
Okay.
yeah.
Football's
That may have been racist.
Although in Man of Steel, Pete Ross was a ginger, fat white kid.
True. I like Black Pete better.
something we're not being told about. And it's up to us to find out what that is.
What are you, Stranger Things?
Whatever,
Of
weirdo.
course. Get on your bikes.
Isn't it? Yep. See, I think the country gets a bad rap. If I lived in that house, that'd be fucking awesome. In the middle of nowhere, you got a nice porch.
Peaceful,
Yeah.
smoking wife.
Yep.
You saw how
You could bang with the windows
they
open.
are. They need to know the truth.
What's the truth going to do to Jordan?
The kids weren't there. We right over the banister there, but I mean, either way.
Yeah.
The camera footage from both nuclear plants where the ruptures occurred, and this is the only commonality.
It's Kryptonian. You are not a hero, Kal-El.
Well, I'm sure there's a phone booth in this podunk town where you can suit up.
Now,
Ha!
Nice callback.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to warn you, Lois.
Dad, not
When you
this
wanted to get
again.
married, I tried warning you. But you married Superman.
Selfish bitch. How much does Superman make a year before taxes?
How much money do you make a year before taxes?
Really think that
You better be getting on some of that merchandise. I mean, he was in a video game.
all those poles
No shit.
land on us. Besides, how did he get
Oh,
on both
look.
of us so fast
Is this
anyway?
where they kill the cows?
I don't know, adrenaline maybe?
Looks like it.
This is where they milk the
That kind of
cows.
thing.
Okay.
Dad
Judging by the floor, I'm going to say both.
Could be.
And what's the thing he says every single time we come here? Don't put your finger in that? I don't know.
He was talking about the neighbor girl.
They're gonna find his ship, aren't they? The ship's always in the trapdoor underneath the barn.
Hey, at least that is a universal consistency.
It is.
Always in the cellar of the barn.
You like popsicles?
Well, sure.
And you need to come on down to the cellar.
Sorry. It's funny that.
Although, if I'm hiding a ship, an alien ship, that door is going to be sitting flush. Like, you wouldn't be able to just step and it'd be bouncing like that. But hey, it's just me.
Right.
You know, you're living out on a farm.
Well, maybe it was more of a, well, this would look out of place if this board doesn't move type thing, too. Who knows? But then again, why didn't he just take the ship up to the fortress? You know what I mean? Now, why is it still there?
Another good question, because you even heard him mention the fortress already.
Right. He could just stashed. Fuck, he could have threw it anywhere. Like,
no, I mean, it's a good point, because I actually didn't pick up on that with the fortress thing. Why he didn't take it there, because in Smallville he didn't have the fortress for the first 4 seasons.
Right. I mean, they showed him there, and he talked about it, so it's clearly a thing at this point.
That's just him being lazy. I guess though, because they weren't living there, like, what did it matter?
I mean, but the thing is, as careful as Clark is, it just doesn't make sense that he would leave it there, but some type of farming equipment. Well, you may end up having to tell him.
You may have super strength and super hearing, but I have super smell, and those loans don't smell right.
He actually has super smell too.
Mm-hmm.
I do have super smell, by the way. I just don't use it.
I'm an alien.
Well, he was kind of shook. He's like, "Damn, he told the truth."
Saying you're Superman?
No, I've seen Superman before. We've seen him.
Take your glasses off. How dumb was he?
How dumb was she? Here, I'll show you what I mean. Ed, look. I'm Clark Kent. No, I'm Superman.
I love the little reference in Ready Player One they make to that.
Yeah.
Okay, here. Clark Kent.
I'm not wearing that.
Good movie, though, FYI.
Why don't you just fly? Like, or just hover a bit? I like how, like, the kids are, like, horrified at this. And I'd be like, this is fucking cool. Like, holy shit, Dad's Superman. And he's like, oh, why didn't you tell me? Like,
that's what I don't get. Like, I would not be this bitchy, whiny teenager. I'd be like, that is awesome.
Yeah.
Just like the billionaire dad, I wouldn't be like, you never spend time with me. I'm like, have some money.
Because I knew what kind of burden it would be if you both had powers. Or worse, if one of you had them and the other one didn't.
No Zoom calls for a month. No, they're little shits.
It's my fault that this is all falling apart.
And they're teenagers.
Your life falling apart.
They don't fucking know the difference.
It means you're human. Go.
How many nuclear facilities do they have near Smallville?
Oh, I mean, all of them aren't. He's just that freaking fast.
Well, he heard it, I guess, is what I mean.
He can hear everything around the world. It's just what he chooses to. And plus, if Sam has the button. You remember at the very beginning, he hit that button and he honed in on what was going on?
Right.
I know you're here.
And I know you can't see me. Light encasements.
That's why you're choosing nuclear facilities. You could watch me without me knowing.
Okay. Knows his real name?
To be fair, in the original Superman movie, like an idiot, he just revealed all his freaking weaknesses.
Welcome to the Rock Heap.
Well, I'm just glad that you made it.
You promised me trouble.
Well, I will definitely do my best.
He looks fine now. My thing is, I think he's the one that's got the powers right now.
Why do you say that?
Well, it just makes sense from a writing perspective.
I know everything there is to know.
They're foreshadowing all of this stuff, making you think that it's the athletic one.
Let's just say the two of us have history.
And where is that?
It would just make sense as far as the story goes that it would actually be the outcast, quote unquote, even though he's not an outcast. He's just a little asshole.
That looks good.
Not as fast as I thought.
That red on that damn
What? It's Iron Man? What's going on?
Kinda.
Yeah.
I took a bunch of my mom's pills. I still don't understand why I did it.
Attention.
Bingo.
You just try to kill
It's a
yourself.
sad
It's
story.
fine.
It's really basic.
Drama. There you go. Now slide
Is
it
that
up.
is that how flirting goes nowadays? Like, what milligram you on?
No shit.
What are you doing?
He went for it.
Hey! Sean! It's my girlfriend!
Sean, what the hell is your
What the hell are
problem?
you doing with this? Girlfriend?
I would have gotten around to it, but you started kissing me first.
She had a long time to get around to that.
A little bit.
Most girls, if you look at them in a weird way, they're going to say, "I have a boyfriend," and
Right. Dude, what in the fuck is this guy using?
The Mark 82.
Oh.
That just looks so good.
Aren't you curious how I know so much about you, Kal-El?
What?
Me, your home was destroyed. You were sent here as an infant to a world where you spend your whole life trying to prove your worth.
Like right in the fucking heart.
Yep. See, you're supposed to do this on the last episode of the season.
Or the first, you know, either way.
Maxie, I gotta go.
Clark, come home.
That's not consistent, I will say.
To be fair, Kryptonite, even in Smallville, was never consistent in how strong it was.
Right.
It's always situational Kryptonite.
Dad.
Yeah.
Other one's pretty shook up. Twice in 2 days, Kent. Luckiest family I know.
Kyle. Thank you.
Bitch got laser eyes.
But we're gonna help you get through this, okay?
Yeah, it's probably like learning to drive a car.
Come on, it's funny. Like,
I would have laughed if I was his brother.
I would have. Like, again, fucking you just found out you got powers, man. Like, I'd be fucking ecstatic. Especially since he is apparently, from the way they're showing this, that he's kind of felt like the outsider loner kid, right? Like, I'd be like, I'm fucking the man now. Like,
I don't get it.
But I think she was right.
See, I like the way they do Lois better in this show than they do in Supergirl.
yeah.
How's everyone doing after that?
Tag Harris broke his arm.
You look like the shit got beat out of you, though.
Right.
He looks like shit.
Look, I should have never kissed you last night.
Wow. That is awkward.
I mean, it's not that awkward.
She was not given any signs that she was in a relationship.
No.
I just wanted to
I mean-
hang out with you. You were so sweet.
She was actually giving him the green light.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I was like, oh, shop's up, open for business. Like,
Oh, I don't know. I'm sorry.
It's all right.
she dropped that loser boyfriend.
John, about the powers.
It's all good.
My skills on the field are legit.
It's a pretty good brother.
A little bit, yeah.
Stood up for him, got his ass kicked for him, and then, is not being jealous.
Right.
I wouldn't be that big of a person if
Hey,
I
boys.
had a brother and he had powers.
What would you guys think about staying here a little longer than any of us planned?
Dad, we have questions. We just found out our dad's Superman. I mean, look.
See, that's what I would imagine is a more normal reaction, right?
Exactly. This is Lobo, right?
It's an early version of Master Chief.
I was gonna say.
We also need kryptonite. That was the last of your supply. Away, Captain Luthor.
I dig the New Adventures of Superman Lex Luthor, and
No, what I don't dig is just dropping your. What is the point of dropping your helmet right there on the floor and then going into the next door? Like, why? For dramatic effect, fine, but
maybe it was it was like messed up or something. I mean,
to be fair, it did take a freeze blast and then immediately a heat blast, so it might have weakened the structural integrity of the helmet. But
yeah, I dig the black Lex Luthor. I dig the black. This is only because, again, because of the New Adventures of Superman, and as well as the what is the Injustice video game series. I dig the black Lex Luthor. I'm okay with that. It looks good. My first thoughts is kind of like I said at the beginning. It was more of a movie. It felt like a fucking mini-series movie, like a really good one though. Yeah, this is probably, at least this first episode, probably is the best superhero show I've seen in a long fucking time. And again, I'm kind of biased because Superman's really, Superman's my gig there, so it's kind of biased to the extent that it's like finally somebody put some effort into writing. I like the fact that it's kind of geared towards his later iteration of Clark Kent and Superman. I'm assuming that's kind of the way they're going with it. Lois already knows who he is, so is General Lane. He's got kids. His life from the Daily Planet is, it's past that. Both parents are dead. I dig all this. I dig the storyline, the possibilities that they can do with that. I'm cool with it. Again, kind of called the story with the non-kid being, or the outcast having the one powers. Okay with that. Both the acting was really good as well. There were a couple scenes I was going to mention it while we were watching it, but for some reason he reminds me of Bruce Campbell, and I don't know why. And it's mainly when he's in his suit, but he does remind me of Sam. So, which is good. I like Bruce Campbell. I don't know why he reminds me of Bruce Campbell, but he does. His Clark Kent's pretty good. Yeah, it was a great episode. I mean, I can see why this did so well, because it does kind of keep the Superman tropes in there that everyone's familiar with. I like the fact that they bypassed all of the bullshit, like the coming of age thing. They did that in 30 fucking seconds. That was good. The CGI for being a TV show is pretty good, being backed by HBO money. Film, cinematography was good. I don't know. It was all good. It was pretty good.
All right, so let's dissect that a little bit. So, for those who don't know, when he says Bruce Campbell and then he says Sam, he's referring to Sam Axe from Burn Notice. He just kind of threw that reference out.
Sorry, yeah.
And for those who have not seen everything Bruce Campbell's been in,
there was this thing, and then the gun didn't have an owner anymore.
Burn Notice is another great show. If you haven't seen it, you should go watch it. But I agree. And they mention it if you pay attention to, and spoiler alert, if you've not seen the Crisis on Infinite Earths episodes, all 5 from the Arrowverse, you may want to mute or go ahead and just not listen. But at the end of Crisis, when everything reboots, remember she calls him on the phone and he's like, "Hey, Lois," and she goes, "It's the boys." And you're like,
oh,
okay.
I didn't even catch that. I didn't even catch that.
She says it's the boys.
Yeah.
And if you know from Supergirl at the end, and it was actually in Crisis as well, they only had one son. And that was Jonathan, but they only had one son. They didn't have twins. So when Crisis rebooted everything, she's calling him at the very end, and he's even like, the boys. Like, he's kind of shocked, like he doesn't know because he remembers everything prior, how it was. So that was kind of a nice little throwback. And again, they other than that, you don't know anything. Like, you would never know that the Superman is the same one from the Arrowverse. They don't reference anything. Carl wasn't there at the mom's funeral. Like, it just they are doing it completely different. And I think for me at least, and this might not be a popular opinion on this, but did you ever see the Elseworlds crossover?
No.
It had the Smallville theme when they
sorry,
go to Earth 38, and you hear the Smallville theme playing, and it's the Kent farm, right?
Yeah. So I've seen that scene on YouTube.
Okay.
I have seen that scene. Yeah.
So the funny thing is that's the Kent farm, right? It's that, which is completely different than what you see in here. It's not the Kent farm, but in that scene, Lois is going on and she's like, talking about it, and you make so much more on the hour, or so much more dollars on the hour than I do, and it was just like, why is that in a Superman show, right? Like, why is that in there? And it's like this, you didn't have any of this. Like, the one guy, the fire chief guy, he was saying, Lana's husband, he's saying, like, people stopped reading the newspaper because you inject your politics in there. And it's kind of like how, we feel like, like there are things you shouldn't always inject your own personal beliefs into something, right? Now, this is our damn YouTube channel, so we can do what we want with it. So But for the most part, like when you read news and such, but other than that, you don't have that. So for me, it had a completely different feel than the normal CW show when it comes to that. Like, they steered clear of all of it. And, off this first show, you can tell it just works.
Yeah, I mean, kind of tagging on the end of that, the reason that I enjoy comic books and enjoy superhero stuff is because, and even sports, like I'm a big sports fan. Like, the reason I like that stuff is because it gets me out of the daily bullshit and the politics and the constant daily bombardment we have between the media, social media, and apparently some TV shows and movies. Like, the reason that I like, specifically this is because you don't get any of that. Like, I want to watch a movie, I want to watch a show and forget that I'm actually watching TV and watching a movie. There were times in this show that we were watching and I just completely forgot what we were doing. Like, it was like, you just get so engrossed in the story and in the action and what's going on that you forget. And this show does that really well. And kind of counter that with what you were talking about with the Elseworlds. Like, there's some parts where she's talking about, that injection of politics and all of that stuff. And it's like, I don't want, and then this is a personal preference. I don't know, you probably feel the same way, but like, I don't care. Good or bad, like, what doesn't matter what side you're on, whether, like, I don't want even the stuff that I believe in injected into this, right? Like, I want to be told a good story, good action, and enjoy what I'm watching and not have to deal with that stuff. I don't want to think about it. And this, at least this first episode, did very well with that. And, again, it's kind of, I can kind of tell when that's happening, because there are times where I'm just watching and don't even realize that I'm watching a movie, right? Like, you just get so engrossed in what's going on that you don't think about anything else. and that happens several times, through most of this through this episode. Again, we're trying to fight it because I'm trying to make commentary with it, but you know, you can tell the writers of the show aren't about injecting their beliefs into it, and if they are, I can't tell. Like, this is just written like a normal show. It has a good storyline. There's your antagonist, your protagonist, all of these things, but I don't stop as like, damn, why'd they have to say that? Like, I don't care about that. Like, this stuff has no bearing on Superman, like they do with later Supergirl. Like a lot of the CW shows, a lot of the Marvel shows and movies, they just seem to start injecting their beliefs into it, which again, call back, which I like. Hopefully, these writers don't get their jobs back, and AI takes over and makes good, screenplays. But I don't know. I don't know what your feelings are on it, but that's kind of where I stand.
My thing is like, if Supergirl's over here, Superman and Lois is on the complete opposite end of the spectrum for me, because even how they portray Superman, I didn't Tyler, whatever his last starts with an H. I don't want to pronounce it wrong and seem stupid, so I'm not going to try it. But the guy who plays Superman in this, and he was Superman from, I think you only see him at the very the season premiere of season 2 of Supergirl's when you first see him come in as Superman. They always portrayed him as like, it was constantly berating him that Supergirl's so much better, so much more powerful, and they're not even like subtle with it, right? And again, that doesn't have to be. If you want to portray Supergirl as being, because it's her show, as being the more dominant character, you can do it without having to say it. I feel like if you have to say it, the point is lost, right? You should be able to portray it through the actions, kind of like when you watch the original Wonder Woman. Well, I said the original, the first with Gal Gadot in there. Like, you didn't have to throw it in everybody's face that she's this, badass. It was apparent.
She
right?
just did it. She just did
it. With 80s, female protagonists like Sigourney Weaver and Aliens and things like that. Like, they were just badasses. It didn't have to be spelled out and constantly thrown in your face. And with Supergirl, like, you have that all the time. Like, it's always in there. Whereas this one, it did its own thing. And again, it didn't touch on any of that. It was just, great story, great action, great CGI, and just, it was, like I said, the cinematography was awesome in it. So,
yeah,
I mean, I still love Smallville, but like, this is definitely a contender for, my favorite one of my favorite as far as Superman series. So
I would agree with that. Yeah. One other thing that I wanted to bring up too is their forefront of the nuclear family in the show. You have a mother and a father and children, and I think, and this is my own personal beliefs, that the way that the current culture in the U.S., at least, of not valuing the nuclear family is such a bad place, and it leads to so many things and so many different aspects of our social construct in the US. And I'm really happy to see that they're pushing the family aspect. There's that part where Clark in this, he's a father, but he's losing one of his sons, and he doesn't know how to talk to him and how to get it back, when he should have just told him the truth, to start out, right? And I get his position of it, and the writing makes sense. You're afraid that you're going to push him away, and you didn't want to tell them if they didn't need to know, as another point. But his wrestling with, the daily aspects of most parents that they have to deal with in modern times. It's actually cliche almost. You have one kid who's the star quarterback, right? And he's kind of popular, and he's got a girlfriend and whatever. And then you got the outcast brother who's kind of doesn't have many friends, or at least they didn't show any. He's kind of all into video games, and he just kind of hates the world to an extent. And having Lois and Clark both kind of deal with that in this episode, kind of leans more to the modern audience as well, because those are things that parents have to deal with as well. But again, I like the fact that they're kind of keeping that emphasis on good parenting with a nuclear family, because I believe that's really important for everyone's health, quite honestly.
Well, yeah, and in relation to that, and you just pointed it out, and I think it's important to say, like we had talked about when we did the Smallville reaction that, when we were discussing who's the better Clark versus Superman, and how like the way Christopher Reeves was, you couldn't be that Clark Kent nowadays because times have changed. And I think this does a really great job of when he's being Clark and even just being a dad, of showing the problems he has to deal with in the nowadays, that, the kids are attached to social media and they're developing social anxiety and have to be on medications, just to, be able to make it through the day because of all of everything that's going on in the world. So, it's one of those that doesn't matter like how strong you are. He can be Superman with all these powers. He's still just a regular person. And end of the day, like you said, he's got to be a father and, keep his family together to keep them from breaking apart, and the son from kind of now, especially having powers, going off the deep end and becoming a villain. So I think it's
he went a little Brightburn. He went a little Brightburn there for a bit. But kind of moving forward in the show, because like I said, I've not seen any of this, so I'm assuming they're going to kind of expand on the main theme of this is going to be Clark's ability to juggle Superman with his family life, with the kid that has powers, with battling Lex Luthor, is going to be kind of the storyline moving forward. And then how Lois tries to keep, because what I'm thinking is he's going to try and juggle all this shit and Lois is going to be left to try and hold it all together. I don't know what's going to happen, but that's just kind of what I think is going to happen.
Well, I think it's interesting that the show takes two different avenues on things. Like we've never seen, because if you remember Lois and Clark, the New Adventures of Superman from 1994 to 1997, good series. Check it out if you haven't seen it. It was older Clark. He was Superman, but he was just like, it took 3.5-4 years for his relationship to Lois to develop, right? So it was like the last season they were, married, and it was like he didn't have to deal with this kind of stuff. Smallville, he was a kid, so this is the first time you're seeing Superman deal with this kind of stuff of parenting and having to be a kid, things he can't do with Superman. And then with Lex as well, we've always seen Lex as this genius, most of the time billionaire, but either way, just a genius kind of like strategist that is always coming at Superman, where now you're seeing him in a suit, right? So now you're kind of seeing what we saw in the DC Universe Online game and Injustice, where he always has like the exo suit. He's trying to actually just kill Superman. So it's something, I think on both those fronts that we've not seen in a Superman series.
Yeah, I mean, he's very aggressive, right? Like, there's no like trying to manipulate, at least in this first episode. Like in the classic, especially the old Superman was Christopher Reeve, Gene Hackman. He's more of, like you were saying, he's more methodical and strategic. Not saying he's not in this, but he's not aggressive in those movies. Right here, he's very aggressive. Like, he's coming straight at him, trying to just straight up kill. I mean, he tried to kill him, right? Like with the kryptonite dagger thing.
You had like a 30-second conversation and stabbed him in the heart.
Right. Because he acted like he didn't know who it was, right? Like, he'd never seen this guy before. If there was kind of one drawback I would say of it, and we kind of discussed this while it was going on, but like the kryptonite powers thing here, how much it affects Superman, that would have killed him, right? Like he
did stab him in the heart,
right? That's what I mean. Like in Batman v Superman, and in most of the comics and shows and stuff, like you stab Superman with kryptonite, he's not going to rip that out. Like even in Smallville, like even if he got near it, he was on the ground, like couldn't move. He was in pain. You know.
Okay, now to be fair on that, there's an episode of Smallville, season 4, where he's starting to play football. And he wants to play, and remember, so like it's the Nick Smith Pitalik, whatever. Sorry if I know I just butchered that fucking name, guys. Sorry. But he trips and he shatters the guy's collarbone, and he wants to play. And of course, Jonathan's like, "See, I told you this would happen." He's holding kryptonite in his hand, and he's throwing passes right in the barn.
Yeah,
there's that scene.
It's just
we're not going to get into how I remember that. Okay, that's not important here. But there, like, so he's holding kryptonite and he's still throwing. You don't see like, you know how the hand always and his skin always turns all bubbly-ish, greenish every time in the first couple seasons. You didn't see that, right? So there's always been like even Superman Returns, he gets stabbed with kryptonite. Pulls it out, and still he got stabbed with it. It was still in him, and he still lifted a kryptonite island into space.
Yeah.
So there's always, I don't care, across any Superman franchise, there's always been an inconsistency with kryptonite.
Yeah.
In the original Lois and Clark New Adventures of Superman, the first time he came into contact with kryptonite, he lost his powers for days. He could barely lift normal stuff that humans could. He lost his powers for days completely. By the end of the series, he shrugged it off in about 3 seconds.
Yeah, and I mean, and maybe it's more of a thing where, and it clearly is over the course of years of people writing stories of Superman, it's something that writers have taken liberty with. So it's not that big a deal, quite honestly, but I just felt like, oh God, he just got stabbed with kryptonite. Like, okay, like, where do we go from here? Like, you know what I mean? Like, if that doesn't kill him, what the hell does? Like,
to be fair, for those of you, again, another spoiler alert, so if you haven't seen the DCEU stuff, at the end of Batman v Superman, he doesn't die. His heartbeat slows to like 1 beat every 14 days.
Only came to realize it 17 days after your apparent demise, when I was alerted to a single pulse of your biorhythmic signal.
This is what was in the original Death and Return of Superman. Like, so it still didn't kill him. I mean, he almost can't die. But again, his powers have evolved. I mean, in 1938 when Superman came out, he couldn't even fly. That was the whole leaping tall buildings in a single bound. So it's developed. Kryptonite only affects for the story, because other than that, you have too powerful of a character, right? So you have to have some way to put him in check, but you can't let it be completely debilitating at times. So I mean, I think the best you're going to get.
Yeah. All right, let's wrap this up.
Yeah, sorry, we get off on little tangents on this. I could probably do a whole nother episode on the differences on Superman and all of that. So, but I think great first episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please check back with us. We will continue to do more in this series, just because this one is the DC channel, and 2, clearly love Superman.
Yes.
So, thanks, guys, and please leave your comments down below there. Let us know what you thought about it. And if it's something you want to see us keep watching.
Yeah. And don't forget to like and subscribe if you made it this far.
Yeah, sorry, I always forget that part because I'm going to let you do that from now on. All right. Thanks, guys.
Later.